here we go. Jenny here, Halstead Ceramics. Welcome to my YouTube channel where we're going to talk all things pottery and I might give you my opinion about some things. Today we're going to talk about throwing off the hump. Now, this is a technique that generally isn't taught to beginners, and I don't know why, because I think that building your pottery skill set with a method like this is fantastic. So if you're new to pottery or haven't done it in a while and you're just like, what the hell is throwing off the hump? I'm going to tell you. This is when you want to throw lots of pieces, generally small pieces, off of one giant hump of clay. And the benefit of that is that you don't have to wedge up 100 little balls, center 100 little balls of clay, and then throw them individually. Instead, you're going to use your one hump of clay to throw multiple items. So for instance, in this video, I was making little Christmas ornaments. And for this, what I did was I had about a 10-pound piece of clay, and this is generally about the size that you work with, 10 pounds or higher. And I center the piece of clay first. So if you are a pottery beginner, great way to practice centering a larger piece of clay. And center my piece of clay, and then I have the top relatively flattened like you would center a puck on your wheel anyway. And then I use my finger as a guide to then press down the clay into about the size of the piece that I'm going to throw. I give myself a little bit extra at the bottom when I've pressed down. The next thing that I do is I make sure that that little piece that I've dropped down, that I formed, is that piece right there is centered. You don't want to drop your hole until you know that's centered. That might seem obvious, but I gotta say it. So drop your hole and be sure really carefully right here that you don't drop your hole further down than the piece is itself. It's really easy to drop it too far. So be conscious of that. I've dropped my hole, and then I go ahead and shape the piece the way that I want to shape it for whatever it is that I'm making. And from that point, I can make multiple things off of that one hump. Once I've shaped it, I've made the beautiful little piece that I want, I go ahead and stop the wheel, and I use my wire cutter to cut the piece evenly off of the hump. Now, it can be really easy to accidentally cut too shallow, and therefore you've gone through the bottom of the piece, or you cut it off unevenly, and then trimming can become a challenge because you're going to turn it over and trim this uneven side. So cutting it nice and straight, nice and level off of the hump, and then setting it to the side. Now, I have definitely taken it off and accidentally thrown it to the floor, and that really pisses me off. But once I'm ready to once I've cut it off, I wet my fingers again, and then I lift it off nice and evenly with that kind of 4-finger secure hold, and then I set it aside. Start up my wheel again, and I throw the next piece, and I repeat this until I get all the way to the bottom. Now, it's important to remember that you can easily overwork your clay if you continuously center it, cone up and down to center the clay. So you don't want to overwork that clay, or else by the time you get to that very bottom, it's just super saturated and it's really hard to work with. Throwing off the hump is a great technique. It's excellent practice for centering and working with really large pieces of clay, and then also fine-tuning your skills for those smaller, delicate pieces. But if you're looking at making multiple things that are similar sized, like the Christmas ornament, or I threw a million of these little bowls right here off of the hump, it's a great technique, and I don't think beginners should shy away from it at all. So if you found this useful, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Leave any comments. I'd be happy to answer them, and I hope you have a great day.